Hey y'all, it's me, Mr. Smith. Today we're going to talk about slope and rate of change word problems. The prior video we did just regular slope, rate of change. This time we're going to incorporate some word problems. That's why the EQ is the same. How can rate of change help or be applied when solving real world problems? So in order to solve these, we have to first be able to determine what is the independent and dependent variable. It's very simple. Dependent will always depend upon whatever the independent variable is. So in this first relationship, we have the number of hours and we have the money earned. So the money earned is dependent upon the number of hours. So the more hours you work, the more money you make. So this is going to be our dependent. And our dependent is always our Y term. And the number of hours is going to be our independent. Sorry about that. So this is going to be our independent. And that is our X term. So when we go on to the next one, we have your grade on the test and the number of hours you study. And your grade on a test is going to be dependent upon the number of hours you study. So this is going to be our dependent. And remember that is our Y. And the number of hours we studied is going to be our independent. And that is our X. One thing that you're going to notice after doing a couple of these problems, you're going to notice that whenever you have number of hours or a time frame, that is typically going to be our independent variable. So that's a nice thing to note. If time is involved in the word problem, that is typically going to be your X value or your independent variable. And time can be hours, minutes, seconds, month, years, days, can be any form of time. The last example we have here, we have number of songs purchased and total cost. And you probably realize that the total cost is going to be dependent upon the number of songs that you purchase. So therefore, our total cost is our dependent variable, which is our Y. And the number of songs would be our independent value. So I'm going to write independent, which is going to be our X value. All right, so let's go ahead and get to some actual rate of change word problems. So this is the first example that we had. The relationship that is involved in this word problem is based off of the relationship that we discussed on this page. So when I look at this first one, we talked about the number of hours worked and the money earned. That's what this is based off of. So in this problem, we already know that the independent variable is going to be the number of hours. So the number of hours is our independent. And that is our X because it is our independent. And we know that our Y is going to be our dependent, which is the amount of money earned. So when we look at the paragraph, we can see that we earned $266 if we work 32 hours. We can look at our paragraph. We can determine that if we earn 26, so in order to earn $26, we have to work 2 hours. So now we have our 2 points. We need to label our X1, our Y1, our X2, and our Y2. And we're trying to find rate of change. Remember, another word for rate of change is slope. We know the variable that represents slope is M. And we know the formula is Y2 minus Y1 all over X2 minus X1. So our Y2 in this problem is 26. Our y1 is 266. Our x2 is 2. And our x1 is 32. So now all we're going to do is do our subtraction. So 26 minus 266 is negative 240. 2 minus 32 is negative 30. And a negative and negative will give us a positive. And 30 goes into 240 8 times. So our answer for this problem would be 8. In our next example, it's a little bit different setup, but we can still solve it. It said John would like to find out how much he saved per month for the year. So John wants to know the rate of change per month. We're just trying to find out how much John's account changes per month on average. On this one, they give us points. So we already know this is X1. This is X1, Y1. We know this is X2, Y2. We're trying to find rate of change. And what's another word for rate of change? Slope, that is correct. And slope can be represented by the variable m. And we know m is equal to y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. So this part here does not take that long to write. It only takes you a good 10 seconds. If it takes you longer, that probably means you need to write it down so you have it in your memory bank. This is so key. So please take the time to write this out on every single rate of change word problem. So after this, all we have to do is plug in the values. I'm going to go and write my fraction bar, write my subtraction in, and now I'm just going to plug in everything. So y2 is 1500. Y1 is 300. X2 is 12. And X1 is 0. So now we have 1200, because 1500 minus 300 is 1200, divided by 12, because 12 minus 0 is 12. And then 1200 divided by 12 is just 100. So on these rate of change problems, they're not that bad. The biggest thing is going to be identifying what your independent or what your x is and what your dependent variable is or what your y is. Once you're able to do that, these problems are just like the prior problems that we did in the prior video. Again, if you need to, you can look back at any of these videos to help you if you have forgotten or still are confused. Talk to you next time.